Silencing the mind involves going through the process of thinking when one has to think, and keeping the mind quiet when thinking is not needed. The human capacity to focus on things improves. People can think more intently. The overall understanding gets lucid, and human understanding of the world elaborates when the entire thought process goes into the state of silence. When people keep thinking about every miserable ordeal, getting upset, or being unhappy, they gain nothing. Isn't it preferable to spend valuable time and energy on something more worthwhile and productive? It's only feasible when people know how to silence their minds and remain peaceful. Silence of the mind does not mean that people are not thinking. They are not concealing their impulses, or that their mind is blank.